Alrighty, and we are live for our next episode of Cats and Coffee. How are you doing today?
Hi, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. I know we talked a little earlier. I feel like I'm starting to get a little more, we'll say, haggard than when we started this a month ago.
I'm gonna say you're not wrong. I'm with you. I said in solidarity with these bangs. Surely we're measuring the quarantine with the length of my hair.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll go by my beard and your bangs, and that's how we're gonna measure this out. So
Kind of a Tom Hanks looking island stranded thing you got going there today.
I just need Wilson. I don't have a good volleyball running around. But hello to everyone on Zoom, and I think we are still loading up our Facebook as well. So say hi to us in chat. We're so excited that you are here today.
Hi guys. We're excited. I'm excited. It's a rainy Wednesday here, so I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I'm excited to talk to my friends on Coach My Cat and on Cats and Coffee today because they always bring sunshine to my life, and it's a rainy day here. Is it rainy there?
Oh no, it is a gorgeous 75-degree day here in Texas. So we had that rain. We had that rain a few days ago. We're just giving it to you now.
Yeah, and then I saw a bunch of people got snow, and I'm thinking to myself, my cats have only seen snow a couple times, but they love it. So I'm wondering if there is cats and snow pictures out there somewhere.
Ooh, I'm sure there are. I mean, we've got some. I know we had one posted on Basepaws a little earlier of a cat in, I think it was Japan, with a fantastic little coat.
Yeah.
Fully prepared. So if y'all do have snow pictures, I know we've got some folks. We've got April in Portland. If you do have, you guys get snow, right? I think there's snow up there.
I don't know if they got hit with this.
We would love to see your snow pictures and cats if they do like to adventure out there. But of course, always be safe when you're going outside with your cats as well. So leashes are always a good thing. So
hi, Mish and Chelsea. Guys, I'm excited to see everybody in such good moods today. Heather, hi.
All right.
We're excited about today's conversation. I'm excited about today's conversation.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're talking about feeding. It is just such a complicated, it sounds like it would be such an easy topic, and it becomes so overwhelming for so many people that it becomes, I don't know, like almost a barrier in some ways. So I love to be able to dive into it with you.
I think it's one of the number one things I get asked about as well, just in general. People are always wanting to make sure they're doing the right thing. And, I think there are so many options out there. It gets like, we hear this, we hear that. We never know what to go with.
Right. Well, and back in the day, it was just dump some food on the ground and let your cat go at it. And we've learned so much since that point in time that we'll kind of start to go over. But I know we've got some great ways to start though. You talked about the sunshine, about how we can start, and you know me, how I like to kind of start with some of the laughs on here. I've got a couple good little laughs for you going up as well.
Isn't it funny? There's like nothing in between, like stuffing their face and starving to death. Like it's just like every day my cats are sure it's the day I'm gonna forget to feed them. So it's like super important to remind me regularly.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have not been consistent for years. It's just ever. That there's just such inconsistencies that they always need to tell you. And I know you have one that would be kind of right about in this same mood.
That's how mine are. That's truly how they come running, and I feed mine, as we've talked about before, up the stairs. Mm-hmm. So it's like a little stampede. You can hear them, blah, 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 their little feeties, if they're not ahead of me, like showing me where to go, because not only may I forget to feed them, but there's a strong possibility I forget where they eat. So it's like this. Let me show you. Honestly, though, I like super love it. I play the game. I'm like, where do you eat? Show me. Like, oh, Mom, you're so needy. So I play this game with them every day. And honestly, I kind of love
it. Oh, well, it's such a fun little game. I don't know. We have so many different ways that we asked, how does your kitty tell you it's feeding time? Before this, and I don't know if you had a chance to see any of the answers, but we have so many great answers. Like one of my favorites was just from Haley, and they really just stare and stare and stare. And then as soon as any movement happens, they move to the kitchen counter and stare and vocally let the choir ring to ring in the dinner time bell. And I just, there's so
You
many.
can hear mine. They're like, well, we just yell at mom insistently, but mine do the exact same thing. They're like far off with just like a solid stare, and then like slowly incoming.
Oh my goodness. Well, so, about feeding though, kind of, I know I mentioned the the one-time free feed that we really used to have, but, you know, you got a lot of questions about feeding times and how to feed itself. And so kind of walk me through and walk us through the different options that we really have or kind of recommendations that are out there.
Sure. So for me, cats do everything in short, well, everything but napping, right? The exception proves the rule, in
Mm-hmm.
short, frequent durations. And that includes eating. There are experts out there that say cats will eat as many as 12 small meals a day. And if you can think about how small our cats are, that tells us that they're eating these tiny little meals frequently throughout the day. They're
Mm-hmm.
instinctively hunters. So they're going to take a little nap. They're going to get up and go have a little meal. They might go have a play. They might, go switch to the more sunnier window and go back to sleeping. So for our cats, it is really hard to do in our normal everyday life, but they really actually want to eat small, frequent meals throughout the day.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and some of these cats, we've got a common question from Chelsea. She asked about cats who graze, like she leaves food out and they nibble all day. And, how does, we see some cats that do that well, and then some cats that do that, we'll say really, really,
The
well.
overachievers.
Overachievers.
Sure. So cat kibble is made to be delicious and enticing and make cats want to eat it, right? Because it's not necessarily their natural instinct to go eat kibbles. It's their natural instinct to hunt prey and eat that. So we drive them to the kibble with delicious taste, textures that they enjoy. Because of this, some cats have a ability to, maybe more inability to self-regulate as much as other cats. And so therefore, out of maybe boredom or nothing better to do, or just because they like the taste of it, hey, peanut M&Ms here, we're just consuming. And then we have obese cats. And unfortunately, there's a total misconception about body condition in cats. And so people often, I can't tell you how many times in practice, people have come to me and said, how do I put more weight on my cat? Because they think it should be this kind of Garfield body. So they don't worry about it if cats are feeding all day. Now, if you have a great self-regulator, and they're grazing throughout the day, this might work great for them. If that's the case with your cat, and I think we'll talk more about this, I think it's a good time to go ahead and incorporate their hunting instinct and to be able to feed to their hunting instinct if you're feeding dry kibbles throughout the day. But we absolutely, if we're doing that, need to be super familiar with body condition and assessing it and making sure that we are self-regulating better than I can with peanut M&Ms.
Well, my weakness is not actually peanut M&Ms. It's the like the peanut butter M&Ms or those.
That's my husband, and so then I dive into his bag after mine's gone.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but
Okay. But I understand. That is that is a day gone.
Yeah.
Now you talk about body condition score and how people have a lot of different preconceptions. So like, where are some great resources that people can reach to kind of help show some of those different pictures and kind of get a better understanding of those as well?
So first and foremost, this should be a conversation you're having with your veterinarian at every visit, right, Dr. Chris? I mean, I'm assuming you go through this with your clients every time, right?
Yes, every time. Well, the goal is every time on there, and as long as it's like the annuals, we always want to talk about weight.
Yeah, but there's tons of online resources. We talk about it in Coach My Cat, and it's basically an assessment score anywhere from 1 to 5 or 1 to 9, depending on what scale you use. It talks about your ability to feel, see, and appreciate ribs, bone structures, and the overall fat storage of your cat. Lots of you guys know your kitty has a little pooch, especially male cats will have that stomach pooch. Female older cats, we see that. We know that should be there, but we want to make sure that it's not full of fat. So we have a lot of different ways of assessing this. And one of my favorite things is actually to ask clients to assess their own pet's body condition first, because it gives us a good starting point for a conversation. It can be hard. Not everybody, it's hard to say to somebody, your cat is maybe on the higher end of the body condition score, and let's talk about calories and feeding. But if it's something that they put out there first, we can maybe have a little different conversation. How do you handle it? How do you talk to your clients about it?
Well, that is the kind of the same way that I do. I really like to get where their understanding is first. One of the things that we always want to talk about, and always kind of is the hallmark of good communication, particularly in the medical world and the kind of the veterinary medical world, is getting a sense of understanding of where the client or the cat guardian may be before we move into a different way. Because if we just keep using the words normal, 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 then we can have a misunderstanding of what normal actually is. And so getting to that, if that is normal, that is a misunderstanding, then we'll talk to them about how we start to move, how we start to think about. And I always, we've got some resources that we'll be able to post up at the end. There's some links as well. Like I really like to use calorie calculators to really start to make this conversation a bit more concrete. When we talk about a cup is such a variable term. Like my cup, maybe I'm going to use my coffee cup. It's maybe filled to the brim, maybe filled a little low, maybe filled a little high, and all of those. When we start to think about, like for a human, that's not that big of a deal, that change. But when we start to think about animals that are only 8, 10, 12 pounds, that small variance per day can really start to add up over a lifetime. And so then being able to talk about this in a calorie term gives us some good concrete ways to move back towards normal healthy weight.
Yeah, I had the cup references. It hits close to home. I can't say how often. Obviously, we're usually not feeding cups to our dogs, but it's like, oh yeah, I feed a cup a day, and you're like, ooh, okay, wow. And that is kind of the other thing when we talk about free feeding and grazing. I'm not knocking what you do or how you do it if you talk to your veterinarian and they're good about it. But we know that working with the different foods and the different diets and the different nutritional needs of cats is something that we have to talk about at every veterinary visit and get an idea of what they're doing and changes. And so sometimes what I find is if we are doing this unrestricted feeding, we may not notice changes in diet as regularly, changes in appetite as easily. And we may not notice if our cats are not maybe demonstrating the same behaviors. So to that point, I think it's important for us to have this discussion and really dive in deep with our veterinary professionals about what we're doing and how we're doing it. And hopefully this conversation today, as we talk about much like it looks like Mishka said that her veterinarian makes really specific recommendations, and that's what the conversation should be. And hopefully some things that you learned today around our conversation around food will give you those questions and conversation starters to have with your veterinarian and to take back to them.
Absolutely. Now, I know we are a little late for our Facebook folks. We had a little bit of issues connecting in, so y'all are live and on here now. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yay, we missed you.
We missed you very much.
I'm glad you're here.
We do have questions. We can see if you're in Zoom, put them in either the chat or the Q&A. Facebook, put your questions and comments into the chat itself, and we'll get those and get through as many of those today as we can. But again, thank you so much for being here with us. Now, we talked about that specific amount of food, but, we also talked about, you mentioned the frequency and the different times of feeding. So kind of what are some good ways that you've got, or kind of that you really enjoy with feeding those big, larger, or kind of those more frequent, smaller meals?
Boy, there's a lot of different ways we can accomplish that, right? Depending on what you feed. Obviously, one of my very favorites, and I hope you would agree, I bet you agree, is the Doc and Phoebe's feeder mice. Doc and Phoebe's is owned by veterinarian Dr. Liz Bales, friend of Basepaws and Coach My Cat. And, Dr. Liz has created this way of monitoring how much your cat is eating, tackling their need to hunt, and incorporating their natural instincts with a safe an effective feeder. And it's like a little mouse guy. There's also really fun feeder eggs, and there are food toys, there are food puzzles. At the end of the day, what it is the cat experts of the world believe that the worst thing you could possibly do is just send your cat to a bowl to eat out of it, because there is nowhere in the wild that a cat gets to go to a universal feeding spot and eat to their it's just not their cat instincts. So we really love it if you have the ability to tap into their hunter instincts by giving them some kind of mental and physical challenge around feeding. This will also be able to space them out a little bit. Now, for our wet cat eaters and our wet cat feeders, this is a little bit more difficult, although stay tuned. I know there's more coming down the pipeline about this. But there are timed feeders, and timed feeders are also a great way to give a meal, wet or dry, when you're not around, in small little increments. I don't know. Did I miss any tricks? What do you have, Dr. Chris? Is there anything I didn't cover?
Well, like I really like the toys and the integration, kind of the hunting and the food egg toys. We talk a lot about how cats are hunters in that wild environment, and they get a lot of stimulation from getting back into that hunting instinct and having, we'll see them all the time, of course, hunting. We have lots of stories of them hunting bugs or kind of anything that roams around the house that may seem to move a little bit, whether it be a bug or something inanimate like a little feather or anything like that. And, moving and activating that instinct also really kind of activates that play instinct at the same time. So they get this good almost boost of energy and kind of, high peak of enjoyment and play that really lets them catch that prey and eat and kind of satisfy that evolutionary need, and then kind of go back to their long burst of napping, if you will, from that standpoint. And so those are kind of my favorite tricks on there, is to either do food eggs or, the dog can feed these mice. You mentioned toys. There are, in these times, if you're not looking to go out, you can make little kind of food dispenser toys. And if y'all have not seen it, one of our very couple episodes ago, we did do-it-yourself toys with cats and coffee. And so we made some great little food feed dispenser toys. So we'll post that link again there if you'd like to go check those out. So toys and really enjoying activating those instincts as they run around.
Yeah, it looks like Lean mentioned turning these toilet paper rolls into treat dispensers, kind of like we talked about when we did that episode. So I've seen a lot of folks out there utilizing that. We want to see your pictures if that's the case, if you're out there doing that. So, one of the big questions we get, and we are seeing them pop up on Facebook. Jeff is asking a little bit about raw and frozen and dry versus wet. Heather asks about that as well. What do we think about that, and how do you guide your clients when we start talking about the different forms and types of foods for cats?
Yeah, we get a lot of questions about that because of, again, that evolutionary need. We hear cats came from the wild and they hunt raw prey. And so a lot of people will ask about raw food. And, I still do like formulated, kind of AFCO approved formulated diets for cats. And generally raws don't really make up into that account. There is also something we do have to consider for raw food. It is the chance for, particularly if you're running around with raw poultry like raw chicken or raw duck, that if you are feeding that, please just be super careful. Salmonella can still exist on that. Now, it doesn't typically affect our cats as much, but they can still get it. More commonly, though, or kind of more likely, it does affect humans pretty well. So if you are feeding that, make sure that you're protecting yourself as well from there. I still kind of push back towards the kibble or that prepared non-raw, if you will, to kind of take that part of the equation, that risk of the equation out. What about you? How do you feel about raw foods?
Yeah, I think when I talk to clients, it's really important to be accepting of everyone's, thoughts and understandings, and to really understand their why. Because when I ask a client why they feed a certain food, a lot of times there is a strong passion behind it. When it is about raw diet, I really just talk to them about pasteurized products and things to keep them and their cats safe as much as I can. So For me, it is about making sure that they stay safe and balanced, kind of like
Mhm.
you said. And when it comes to wet versus dry, what we are knowing more and more is that the experts are saying leaning toward a wet food diet.
Yeah.
you know I have some clients who say to me, Becky, my cat will not touch it. My cat won't eat canned food. And here's the thing. So first of all, cats love flavors, textures, different. I mean, they're very, very particular. So for example, let's be very clear, formerly stray, had to fight for her life and survival, will only Whiskers grilled, prefers the beef, will
Mhm.
go for the chicken,
Mhm.
will not touch the seafood. Okay.
Mhm.
I've spent hundreds of dollars trying to feed her. This is
Yes.
all. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then meanwhile, my bottle raised boy is like, I'll eat whatever you want. And you think he'd be a bit more picky, right? So, cats can be very, very particular. So first and foremost, try different textures, different flavors, different
Mhm.
combinations, because it may just be a particular thing with that. If it isn't about the canned food, or canned food's not in your budget, or whatever it is, here's the thing: a cat that's not eating is getting no nutrition. So
Absolutely.
yes, I want them to eat canned food if that works in your life and if that's possible. But if it's not, and you have a strong belief and it needs to be dry food in your life,
Mhm.
I just want it to be balanced, and I want to pay attention to the calories.
Yes, absolutely. And like part of the reason wet food has come up as well, and we will kind of glance on, but we don't really, it's time for another one. Whole big discussion is that extra water just helps kind of improve and not improve, but kind of maintain kidney health as well. Kind of helps stave off some of that chronic kidney disease. And so that's really where a lot of that wet push comes from is honestly that water intake. Like you mentioned though, if cats being extremely particular, if they won't eat something, if they won't eat the ideal, that is their choice. We want to make sure that a cat is still getting sufficient calories a day, and that we can try and manage that water situation through another form, through water fountains, or leaving the sink, or kind of dripping, or just working around different ways from there. So yes, the just because it's an ideal diet and your cat won't jump on the ideal train, um, don't feel too bad. Try the other textures, but also make sure that you're eating the right amount of calories.
Yes. I mean, the calorie count at the end of the day is something I'm not sure people even really think about when it comes to their cats, that there is like a minimum number and a maximum number of calories for their cats as well. And what we know is that most foods are now going to a really easy system of providing the caloric intake. So just check on the side of your bag. Most of them will tell you how many calories per cup. And there are lots of great calorie calculators out there for you to determine how much you should be feeding your cat in calories every day and making sure they're eating.
Right. And, I really like that calculator at Pet Nutrition Alliance, because when you move through there, and we'll post that link on there, the Pet Nutrition Alliance calculator for cats also kind of helps break down a food versus treats. Because
Yeah.
sometimes people get stuck in that, I only feed this food and then treats go away. And that interactive kind of, there's a lot of interactive bonds that kind of go through like the treats that cats can build up over the years. So if we suddenly take it away, that part of their life that they're expecting is gone. So
Like back to the peanut M&Ms with me. I get it.
God.
Yeah, I totally get it. Don't take my peanut M&Ms away. They're my enrichment. But yeah, there's like a bond, right, around feeding our cats. And, it's 100% like, I mean, my kitty gets to get smoochies right on his lips before his food. I know he wants them. He sits down, he looks for them. I mean, we have a ritual around food time, and it's just really, it's important. So, we don't want to take it away. We don't want people to feel like they're losing that time with their cats. We want people
Mhm.
to do it really healthy. And just like we can tell from the Q&A here, people have tons of questions when it comes to
Oh yeah.
that.
Yeah. Let's move in there.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Kind of from the Q&A, I've been looking at this question from Danielle that I know we really want to kind of talk about or bring up a little bit, is is when you have two cats, multi-cat households always are always on topics, no matter what we talk about, you know. And so if you have two cats and one is kind of a food bowl bully, even if you're using food balls, like, you know, what do you think, you know, how do you work with that?
Wow, so that's actually a really great question, and I think it's something that people struggle with, and cats, I'm going to actually say struggle with in the feeding environment within homes. So cats are not inherently sharey with their food, and so what we find is that they actually may experience stress when they're eating really close together. So what we really want to try to do is move food bowls much further apart and allow cats to eat pretty separately, even as far as separate rooms if you need to. Some of the food bowl bullying can be based on a discomfort level of sharing that bowl. So it can be a territorial issue. So the first thing I would recommend, splitting the meals, splitting the cats.
Yeah, and it's the best way to kind of start to really do that and let them have their own space. They're just like people. Sometimes we like our own plates or our own bag of M&Ms, and
Yeah.
so we'll make sure that no one else can get to our bag from there. Even if,
Right.
you know, with the food balls, if one isn't accessing the ball as quickly, if it doesn't, you know, give them that hour, give them that time apart. That's not a punishment. I
Nope.
promise they'll enjoy it as well. So that can kind of add some nice relaxation to the day. Oh my goodness. I'm going to let you pick out a question. There's so many in here that I
There's
think
so many great ones. You know, I think so first of all, there was a question in here from Mishla and Molly, it looks like, about canned tuna juice. What do you think about tuna juice? Because we were talking about treats. And how do you feel about it? When do you use it? How do you use it for a treat? How do you use it for a meal? What do you do there?
Well, you know, it certainly is a treat. It certainly is a treat, and not to be used in meals. I don't like it for kind of an everyday treat, everything treat. You know, a couple drops on things will actually, you know, like particularly in a food, I'm fine with on there. We just want to make sure we don't let them kind of drink the whole, because there can be a fair amount of different things in that canned tuna juice, you know, that helps preserve that tuna. So helping washing down or watering it down, even maybe a couple drops of canned tuna, just like that's dispersed with water, that you kind of dilute with water itself. That still has a little bit of those flavors as well. But that's about as much as I like to use it, just because of that. I'm not always entirely sure what's in there, what's in the kind of the canned tuna juice, but I know they love that. I know some cats certainly love that flavor, though. You know, your stray is not one of those.
No. So odd. She does not like seafood. She loves pork. I'll tell you.
Well,
Never seen a cat love pork products like that. That's great though, and you're absolutely right. I tell people, when you need a really high value treat, a flake of tuna, a flake of a salmon often is a great high value treat. But that's exactly it, a treat. It's not something we want to give every single day. You know, we wouldn't probably eat tuna every single day. We worry about mercury, we worry about additives, things like
yeah.
that. I do, at least. I worry about a lot of things. But you know, I think this is something we want to, again, moderation.
Moderation is the key for humans and cats. Key for
All
humans
things.
and cats. Now we've got, oh my goodness, we have so many questions. This is such a great topic to always talk about and always keep going on there from there. You know, we also kind of talk about, sometimes we have cats that dominate the food. You know, say we have a cat that ends up being on crystals, and that forces kind of an overall change to Royal Canin. Is really common. You know, urinary SO is a very common diet that we see for chronic crystals on there. And you know, what do you think? Is it possible to feed other diets? And how do you? Is it the same sort of split rooms, or what do you think on there with different diets?
So that's a really hard one, and it depends on how you feed cats. And I have had so many clients struggle with that, because these therapeutic diets are not cheap. So when we find our, like, okay, well, we have to have that being the only food source in the house, it can be really difficult. What we do have is a lot of really cool options out there from technology standpoints that are microchip based multi-feeders for cats. And so this might be an option for someone who's struggling in that, where we can say, these food bowls will not open if this cat does not have the proper microchip ID to allow it in. Now, that being said, cats are not dumb. You guys know that. I've seen cats, little thieves with their little kitty paws up there getting the kibbles out, they, bullying somebody away from it. So it's not a guaranteed fix. Obviously, nothing, is guaranteed, but it's a worthwhile try for sure. So this can be one option. Again, it can be a matter of giving everybody feeding time and then taking bowls up when feeding time is over, and offering that 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day if it allows for your schedule and if it allows in your life. It can be challenging. There's ways around it for sure. The other thing I love to tell people, if you've never, and you have questions about your food feeding, there is a whole team of people waiting to answer your phone call from the phone number on the back of the food of whatever you feed. And these guys are experts in answering questions and problem solving. And another thing is Coach My Cat. It's real self-promotional for me. I'm sorry. But it's exactly what we do, is we really talk through some of these struggles if people are having them or feeling really unsure. So it may be a matter of reaching out and getting some help, because it sounds like it should be really easy and just feeding some cats. But it ultimately is not always.
Yeah, it ultimately is not. It is very situational. It depends on the home, honestly, the home layout, the family layout, like you mentioned, and working through those, finding someone to work through those. And that's really like a lot of the problems and aspects that we want to help with Coach My Cat, as that's starting to come up soon, very soon, isn't it?
It's so soon. So we're launching that out. This month. We're excited. We've had a couple betas, and the thing about it is we're building a big community around this. There's just so many great cat owners out there, and like a bunch of you guys are out here with us today. You just want to learn how to make a better life for your cat, and it's a community based on exactly that. So we're really excited, and if you want to know more about Coach My Cat, we have a newsletter. So make sure you are following us on Facebook and follow our Facebook page, because as we know, all official things in life happen on Facebook, right? So you gotta be liking those pages to get the news and sign up for our newsletter, and you get more of me.
You always want more, Becky. Always.
Oh, geez, more Becky.
Now, there is also, in the top right-hand corner of your screen, particularly for those on Facebook, there will be also a subscribe button. So click on that, and that will let you know when we go live as well, so that if you miss our announcements or anything like that, you can hop on and when that ping sign up on your phone. Now, we do also have some other exciting things going on, particularly over the past 2 weeks with some challenge things.
We had so much fun.
Yes, we did. So we officially have some winners. Oh, I know. So we've got 3 winners. We have Oliver the Tuxedo Kitten, as well as at Balam Belial, and Patricia Worth. So what did they win?
So these guys, I can't believe this. Okay, that was my question. Is what do they win? So these guys are all actually getting
kits themselves.
Can you believe this?
That's that's a fantastic prize.
So they're winning entire kits. Now, we will say, if by chance our participants already have a kit, we are going to give them a gift card to our swag store. Have you seen our swag store?
Have I seen our swag store?
We have got the best stuff. We've got the cutest. If you are a cat mom and you need a sweater, that says it. If you are 100% that cat mom, we have got so much fun swag in the swag store. So a kit or some swag, because they played along. So if you too are wanting to win a kit or some swag from our swag store, you have got to get in on our challenge.
Absolutely. Now we'll be announcing the next round of our challenge as well. So keep an eye out on that Facebook. Subscribe, like, and follow from there. So if you didn't win this time, or someone who would like a kit and would like to kind of participate in our challenges for a chance to win a kit, share it, let them know, so that they know that they can, that there's another way, just by kind of learning more about their cat, that they can get the kit.
That's exactly right. The whole point of this challenge is to learn more about your cat, to get a better idea of what you need to do to be that cat owner that is on top of keeping them healthy, keeping them happy, just learning. Like, it's all about just those little tips and tricks to healthy cats. Nothing super hard, not a lot of work, just a quick snap. Show us your cat on Instagram and hashtag it. Because really, the truth is I just really want to see everyone's cats. And I was like, how can I make that happen? And I was like, contest, hashtag, send me your cat. I'm here to just look at them all day and get paid for it.
I mean, and also we can't forget about the cat dads out there.
Cat dads, they're the best. Come on. I mean, we want everybody involved. You got a cat grandma, you got cat nieces, cat nephews. All the cats in your life are welcome. And here's the thing, the truth of the matter is, we know there's a lot of folks out there who are fostering cats. There are a lot of folks out there who adopted because of COVID. If you are thinking to yourself, man, I want one too, Chris, can they get one?
Of course, they can. We're running a promotion right now about if you're adopting or fostering a cat, that will help get a free cat kit out there so that you can learn more about that cat, learn about, and just kind of get to know them better and heighten that bond, or share that with, if you're fostering with kind of this prospective new owners, so that they can get to know that cat better and help it settle in a little faster.
It's exactly right. It's just really great information. It's fun to have. It's just really neat. And, you know, we're grateful for all of you that are out there fostering. If you are out there fostering, or you recently adopted a kitty, I want to see it. So include them in the challenge, please. So I get to see your new foster, soon to be brand new adopted kitties.
Oh, well, oh my goodness. We have so many questions still. So many questions.
So many. We're going to have to take this to the email responses. We're gonna have to respond to everybody out there. The hashtag, we have them asking too, just so you know, the hashtag for Basepaws for the challenge right now is hashtag Basepaws challenge. However, we might be mixing up our hashtags with each week, so make sure you are tuning in hashtag Basepaws challenge. And there'll be some extra fun ones throughout the week, so make sure you are on the site getting the updated with those.
Wow. Now, yes, and so follow our Facebook, follow those challenges, and follow us next week. What are we talking about next week, Becky?
I think next week, you know me, I live day to day in this COVID life, and so what are we talking about?
Oh, we're doing a quick little genetics 101. Next week is, has kind of National Genetics Day itself.
Right.
It is not the 22nd. It is not the 22nd, but we will be participating as kind of part of that week scenario. So we're going to talk about a little bit of intro to genetics, kind of where diseases come from, and just kind of how you can get to know and what genetics really mean for cats and cat breeds.
I think it makes it even more important to be part of this Basepaws challenge so that you can understand the genetics for National DNA Day and get your kids.
And yes, Mishka apparently her cat is eating so much because of these COVID stresses.
Have you seen the meme where the cat's sewing the mask saying, I'm going to get you out of there, get out, get out? I love it so much. Hey, Dr. Bales, thanks for joining us. We were just talking about your feeder mice and how we love those. So the very own Dr. Bales of Docs and BBs is watching and joining this important conversation. So, you know, cats, man, we're learning so much about them during COVID, and we are so excited to keep these conversations going. Because honestly, I'm learning a lot about cats, and I'm learning so much about you guys out there. And that's actually been my favorite part. And everybody's making my day sunnier and fun, and we'll get into all these questions and answer back, because you guys have outstanding questions about cats and feeding, and we're gonna get to them.
All right, folks. So if you're on the Zoom, I know the Zoom, of course, closes down, but we'll move those questions over to Facebook, and we'll get those answers there, and we'll start working through those and kind of interacting and having fun from there. So thank you all so much for joining us.
Yes.
We will have this, if you weren't able to catch all of it, we'll have the copy posted up to YouTube, and then we will see y'all next week and during our challenge. Oh, and we have a webinar tomorrow. So join us again tomorrow with Stacy LeBaron, talking about how you can turn your passion for cats into kind of a helpful mode for your community. All right.
That's right. We've got something new for you guys coming in every week. Again, we're just here to help you have more information, healthier, happier cats. Tell us what you want to hear. What is it you want us to be talking about? Enter for your kids.
All right, well, have a safe COVID Wednesday and a safe feeding Wednesday. And thank you so much for joining us. And we will see y'all soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.